loops it down there, and wide open. Then the ball is knocked loose. The catch is made, and then the ball is knocked out of his hand.
From Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli.
You are lifting weights?
Correct. Does it not look like it?
Oh, the ball is free. Scooped up by Stroud. Circles, throws, complete on a busted play. Hutchinson.
It's Justin Herbert.
Hey, Buzz Lightyear.
I love this shit. I'm gonna smile all day. Hey, cause it's fun when I whoop a man's ass.
All right, welcome back to the Bolts Podcast. My name is Nick Cates. My pronouns are he and him, and I am coming to you from the podcasting lair in the tunnel 3,000 feet below Fred Rosen's house in Bel Air. And this was honestly originally going to be an earlier podcast in the day. And it was definitely looking like it was going to be a more somber podcast. But that was until noted podcast villain Harrison Butker went and biffed again for the 5th straight week. He has had a key miss. The first 5 were on field goals and extra points. And this time, he messed up a kickoff, which gave the Jaguars really good field position at the 40-yard line with just under 2 minutes to go, and allowed Trevor Lawrence to execute a touchdown drive, which gave the Jags the win 31-28 over the Chiefs, dropping the Chiefs to 2-3 and a game behind both the Bolts and the Ponies. In 3rd place now, the Chiefs are in the AFC West, which is wonderful. As much as it stinks that we are tied with the Ponies currently, it's still better, I think, to have the Bolts and the Ponies at the top of the AFC West rather than the fascists and the criminals. I don't know, that's just me, but I think that combination at the top is a little bit better if we have to have another team that's tied with us. And yeah, obviously wonderful to see fascist, overpaid kicker Harrison Butker biffing it again. He keeps failing. And he's cost Kansas City 3 games so far, which is pretty impressive for all the money he's paid as the highest paid kicker in the NFL. And yeah, they've lost 3 consecutive one-score games, and I can't help but think that some of that is his continuous failure to kick properly. So that was certainly nice, but as I said, this is a bit of a somber podcast, and it is a somber podcast because the Chargers also played this week, and the Chargers game sucked. It was trash. I was there at SoFi Stadium. Other than, like, the first quarter was excellent. The first quarter was, like, perfect, but every other quarter was complete garbage. It was really bad. It was no fun. We can start with all the new injuries that the Chargers have. The headline, Omarion Hampton, our star rookie running back who had such a big game against the Giants, is now on injured reserve. He'll be out for at least the next 4 weeks with an ankle injury. That means both of our starting running backs to start the season are now injured. And honestly, it's at consecutive games at SoFi that I've been to. So I hope I'm not the problem. I really do. Because this sucks. But it's not just him. Mekhi Becton, who came back from a concussion, he has a hand injury. Deshaun Hand, he has a groin injury. Marcus Groin, he has a concussion. Trey Pipkins, he has a knee injury now. It's another freaking offensive lineman. And only one of those injuries wasn't real. This has obviously created a situation. Our offensive line was a total shambles. There was a lot of issues protecting Justin Herbert. He was again sacked 5 times, as he was against the Ponies and against the Giants. Now, again, against the Commies. And everybody on social media has had a lot to say about the offensive line. I even saw somebody on Twitter who is gathering RSVPs for a protest in front of Chargers team headquarters about this. I think that is a little bit much. However, I will get into why. Here is what I have to say about the offensive line, which, yes, something definitely needs to be said here. The number one thing that people are saying, I agree with this, Bradley Bozeman at center sucks right now. He sucks. There is a play that is going viral of him just completely missing an assignment from Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert screams no at him right before he snaps the ball, and then he blocks the wrong guy, and Herbert has to dodge a free rusher. This is terrible. And in his press conference today, Jim Harbaugh seems very attached to him continuing to be the center. I don't know if that is going to remain the case come tomorrow morning. I think there probably will be people signed just for injury contingency, and we'll see how that is. But as much as I'm not as excited about Andre James as the next guy, I think he may as well have a damn shot at center because Bradley Bozeman just hasn't been good this season and really wasn't good in the last game, and he isn't even an injury replacement who's trying to get the feel of things. Also, Austin Deculus had a really bad game. Not as many people have been talking about that because he is a backup, but at the left tackle position from the blind side, he was not particularly good yesterday either, but obviously overshadowed by the fact that we had a starting offensive lineman who was probably the worst, maybe even worse than him. Another guy at center, I talked about him a little bit in the preseason. He trailed off towards the end of the preseason, but I think that maybe with a few more weeks of practice, maybe Josh Kaltenberger could get a shot at center, maybe as a rookie. I don't know. It's the bar is so low with the way that Bradley Bozeman has played. I don't know if either Josh Kaltenberger or Andre James could do all that much worse. And I hope that Bozeman isn't going to be in there for much longer. I don't like Harbaugh getting attached to some of these guys that he seems to like. It cost us Rocket Sanders. We're lucky it hasn't cost us Stevo Klotz yet. It's one of the things that I haven't liked about his coaching. They are definitely going to need to bring somebody else on again for the second straight week. So we will probably see tomorrow who that ends up being. Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you all know while I was editing this podcast, the Chargers made a trade. They traded Alohi Gilman and a 5th-round pick to the Baltimore Ravens for defensive end Odafe Owe and a 7th-round pick. So not an offensive lineman, but the Chargers have done something. We need to take a long look at our strength and conditioning and training staffs. I know that Ben Herbert, the strength and conditioning coach, has been hyped up a lot by the team as the long-term solution to all of our injuries. That may have worked for a year, but so far this year, it's not working. Something needs to be done on an organizational level. I don't know what the damn problem is, but this has been a problem for years. This has been a problem since it seems like long before even I was a Charger fan. Like this is a big problem that needs to be dealt with, and I think it probably goes deeper than Ben Herbert if it just keeps happening. Ownership absolutely needs to deal with it. They have the facilities for it. That's not an excuse anymore. Having guys go out injured at inconvenient times has worked out exactly once for the Chargers in the last 5 years when they messed up Tyrod Taylor's lung and Justin Herbert ended up coming in as quarterback. Every other time, it's fucking sucked. So, yeah, they need to deal with this. This is inexcusable, and the fact that we have this many injuries, especially on the offensive line, it's evidence that something on an organizational level needs to change. So that is really important and needs to be said. And as I mentioned, we need to finally fucking get out there and sign Stevo Klotz. As I said in my short last week, the Stevo propaganda will continue until the blocking improves. The blocking has not improved. We need Stevo. I don't care that he's a fullback. I don't care that he's not an offensive lineman. He can do combo blocks. He can even hold up one-on-one against defensive linemen. They need to sign him. He's such a good blocker. He's so fast. He can catch passes. He can do goddamn anything. He will pancake people in the run game. Stevo, please. Joe Ortiz, please. Tomorrow morning. I hope while I'm editing this podcast, you will have signed Stevo. Signed Stevo Klotz. Please, please, please. But I will say, as much as I just freaked out about the whole Stevo thing, in my defense, I've been freaking out about Stevo for weeks. But for everybody that's freaking out, like really freaking out, especially if you're thinking about RSVPing for that protest, just let's chill out for a hot sec and remember a couple of things, shall we? All right. Number one, this is the Chargers. And if you've watched this team at all, at least as long as I've been a fan, this kind of nonsensical, dumb bullshit is par for the course. It's something that on some level you should be used to now and not totally freaking out. Yes, it sucks that we can't protect Justin, but I will stress we can't protect Justin right now. It's not impossible that we can find a solution to this. It's not even impossible that we might find a random solution to this next week and it becomes a complete afterthought and some other part of the Chargers starts going wrong that we have to talk about. It's already 2 weeks ago I was talking about Scott Matlock and getting beaten deep, which the getting beaten deep thing we will get to. We're going to have to talk about that again. But the problems do keep changing, and I will say, a lot of what turned this game were bad penalties. A lot of that's on the coaching staff. The good news is that is a fixable problem. I don't think the Chargers are going to keep giving up this many penalties. I think they will figure this out. That was a huge part of why the Chargers lost. There are a lot of ways that this can improve easily, and I don't actually think it would have taken that much improvement for the Chargers to win this game. I think there was a boatload of bad luck, and if that had gone even slightly different, the Chargers win a shootout rather than losing by 3 scores. To some other non-offensive line items, offensive line items and non-offensive line items. Justin went 22 for 29. He was very, very accurate, but he only had 166 yards. He had a touchdown and an interception. This interception, I will say, this was a bad interception on the goal line, and he had Q wide open. If he just looked slightly to his left, he would have had a touchdown. This one was frustrating to see Justin throw, but it's like the first time in 3 years I've been like, that one was a clear mistake and his fault. So, reminds you of how good he is every other week. And even this week, he was 22 for 29. Bill Krosky-Merritt. I know you may have seen him called Jacory, but I've heard he prefers to be called Bill. And he's earned being called Bill. He had a hell of a game, mostly on outside zone. He finished with 14 rushes for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chargers got to do something about this outside zone stuff. We missed a bunch of tackles against J.K. Dobbins and the Broncos as well. I may look at that for film review because this is an issue that we got to fix. The Finns are probably going to be trying that next week. So another thing the Finns will probably be trying next week is break and contain. You know, Tua loves to break, contain, and run with the ball. Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix and Patrick Mahomes and even Jackson Dart got a lot of yards. Every quarterback we faced so far has gotten a lot of yards doing that. We got to put a spy in. We got to do something about that because we keep getting burned with quarterbacks breaking contain. This is not good. And I mentioned this a little bit before, but before the half, another failure to play deep center field safety. We need to put somebody back there. This is so I don't care if we have to play prevent defense with under a minute to go. I don't care if we have to give up a billion 10-yard completions. This is ridiculous that we don't have a deep center field safety here. This is not good. Dante Jackson, yes, he did give up a big completion to Luke McCaffrey, but he was left there one-on-one on an island. He should have had safety help over the top. I will watch that play. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but it's been a recurring issue right before the half. The Broncos did the exact same thing. It was eerie. Got to get this fixed. Luckily, early in the season, I still think we can get it fixed. Giants didn't get any such passes, so we can stop this. And luckily, we do have the Finns next week, who I believe haven't won any games. Now, we are 0-1 against teams that hadn't won any games before they played us, but I'm hoping we can take care of business. I think we will take care of business, and I think that if we do take care of business, it's going to be a confidence builder for everybody on the team, especially if the offensive line can have at least a decent game. I think it's going to be a big confidence builder going into the home game against the Colts. And if we can win the next 2, we're 5-2, and all the griping, I think, will definitely start to decrease, especially if we can reclaim first place in the division. I feel a little bit better than a lot of the other folks that I've seen about the Chargers. And one other thing, as a little bit of a transition, one other thing making me feel good. I've talked a lot about the cosmic connection that I feel exists between the Chargers and my beloved IPL team, the Punjab Kings. I've talked about a number of times, especially when Ariane's been on, about how I feel like these two teams have been building on each other in kind of a special way each season. So check this out. You know who else started 3-2 because of some dumb bullshit were the Punjab Kings. And our fifth game was a dumb loss. It wasn't at home, it was on the road. Although our third game, we kind of flipped that. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And not only that, but we were dealing with our own injury issues. None of our bowlers, sort of our pitchers, kind of our defense, were bowling well. And our most effective bowler to that point, Lockie Ferguson, had gone down with an injury. We actually lost him for the entire rest of the season. So these vibes feel similar. And for all my Chargers fans out here asking, why the hell are you talking about this cricket team? I mean this only to say the Punjab Kings of 2025 not only finished first with the best record in the entire league, but went to the final. So I believe that if the Chargers can build on that, that would be pretty cool. No? Just trying to put out those cool vibes, manifest something nice, right? All right. With that cricket segue, let's talk about some cricket.
Go, Chargers, go! Chargers, go! Go, go, go!
All right, time for some cricket. And we have a pretty lopsided test series going on in India right now. First test between India and the West Indies is in the books, and it was a whooping. India had an innings victory. The match ended on day 3. It was not close. There's not really much to say. They just destroyed. They declared their innings and bowled West Indies out for less than 200 in both their first and second innings. So absolute thumping by India in the first test. Honestly, we'll let you know in this series the next time anything interesting happens, because there is another series of matches where something interesting is happening every single day, and it's also in India. I am, of course, speaking of the women's 50 over ODI World Cup. And India is also whooping ass in that one, too. They have won 2 matches from 2. Standout players, Deepti Sharma, big time with both bat and ball. She is destroying everybody out there, leading India, and not far behind her fellow all-rounder and beloved podcast woman, protagonist, freedom fighter, Sneh Rana, has been similarly dominant with both bat and ball. However, Deepti's taken like 6 wickets and scored well over 100 runs. Deepti is going crazy. She looks like a superstar out there. And Harleen Dial, with 2 really solid innings in a row, India look unbeatable again. And not far behind them, maybe not even behind them at all. The only difference in points is due to a washout in their second match, are the Australians. In their first match against New Zealand, Ash Gardner 115 off 83 to lead the batting. Phoebe Litchfield and her prolific switch hitting. I unfortunately haven't gotten a chance to look at this one. I can't wait to, though, for obvious reasons. Made 45 off 31. I'm curious to know how many of those runs were right-handed and how many of them were left-handed. And Annabelle Sutherland and Sophie Molyneux each had 3 wickets against the Kiwis. So, curious to see what Australia do, because they are only behind by a washout match, which is not their fault. And England, we don't like them. They bopped South Africa. However, in a positive development in a long-running podcast saga, Nat Silverbrunt is back to bowling, and she is back in a big way, taking 2 wickets for only 5 runs from, I believe, 3 overs. That will make her wife, former England fast bowler Catherine Silverbrunt, very proud. And as we know, Catherine's had some issues with the England women's team earlier in the year, so it's good to at least see Nat making an impression with the ball And hopefully that'll help to remedy that situation a little bit, if it hasn't been remedied already. And her teammate Lindsay Smith also took 3 key wickets to bundle out. They got South Africa for like 60 runs or something. It was nothing. And Tammy Beaumont and Amy Jones were unbeaten in the chase. So be curious to see how England do with a real challenge. They certainly didn't look super good on home pitch against India. But you know who has looked super good on home pitch and away pitch, bringing that 2-0 lead back to Los Angeles in the NL Division Series, is, of course, our guest next week, another all-rounder who's been destroying it, like Deepti Sharma and Sneh Rana. I am, of course, talking about Mr. Shohei Ohtani. So, for Ariane Ori, Will Dissly, Omarion Hampton, Darius Davis, Joe Alt, Mekhi Becton, Deshaun Hand, Najee Harris, Khalil Mack, Denzel Perryman, and everybody else emotionally or physically injured by the NFL's 4077th team. My name is Nick Cates, and I'm saying, well...
I've got so much to say and so little time to say it. Great job, everybody. Who's got it better than us? Nobody!